Welcome back, learners. So this time what we're going to talk about is block number 4. This is our last block of full synchronous learning. In the last block, you did synchronous to asynchronous to synchronous, maybe back to asynchronous. So you were with a teacher, away from a teacher, with a teacher, away from a teacher. This block is going to be completely face-to-face with the teacher. So it's going to be a 1-hour block, and we will have a little stretch break in the middle, but we're going to be focusing predominantly on inquiry-based learning. Answering the questions, the big questions in life. Doing a lot of looking at literature and what was the author thinking? What was their purpose? Why did they write that way? How could we write similarly? How could we write in different ways? How could we tell something important? How could we convince somebody to do something? How could we give our opinion? So we're going to be writing different genres of writing, and we're going to be looking at different genres. That's a fancy name for types. Again, with the big Harvard words. By the time you leave, you'll be ready to do your application for Harvard. Yes, go Harvard and UCLA and USC and all the other schools. All right, so when you come to this block, you should have already taken a break in the last block, and you're going to need to come with your red and orange folders. Now the orange folder is going to have explicitly and exclusively math, and so we'll do that block all by itself. The red is going to have a variety of things. Sometimes it's going to be science, sometimes it's going to be social science. A lot of our social science and science is going to be done through a digital platform, and we'll jump you over there. But we're going to have companion work, and so we have companion work. It's going to live in this red folder. So there'll be things that we're going to be using for writing, like labeling, making lists, and then writing about things. So there'll be a template for that. We're also going to be looking at nursery rhymes. Now, nursery rhymes are a form of poetry, but nursery rhymes were written a long time ago and usually had some kind of historical meaning. So some of them sound kind of silly and funny and use words that we don't actually use anymore. It sounds like what's called archaic language. Another big Harvard word for really old, used long, long ago, and we don't necessarily use that anymore. But it's important to know what people said and did long ago. So when we're looking at nursery rhymes, we're also kind of looking into history, taking a picture into history. And a lot of these you've probably heard and seen, and you didn't know that they were older than me. And I'm almost as old as dirt. So what we'll be doing is different activities with nursery rhymes, but most important is we'll be memorizing them. We're going to be tracking. So we're going to use this strategy, tuck and point to touch and tell, and track from left to right, top to bottom. We'll be locating certain words that we want to find, doing a little bit of art, drawing with it. It'll be super fun. We're also going to be looking at our feelings. So we'll be doing a lot of work around how do we feel? How do we relate to other people? Citizenship, how do we act? How does how we feel impact how we act? We really want to look deeply into those things because right now we're on a screen far away, but in a minute we're going to be in a classroom all together, and one day you're going to grow up and want to be with other people, like in a job and in a house and at a university and maybe in a neighborhood. So it's really important that we learn how to collaborate, that means work with, and get along with other people. Now this is for directed drawing. We love this so much. This is a frame of what you can draw, and we will direct this, so don't just draw this on your own. No. Now this time we're going to be making our special house of feelings. And so there'll be different kind of projects. This is where we're going to build out our zones of regulation monsters. Right now they just look like squares. I used to be a square, but then I became a monster. So we're going to be looking at that this time, but every time you get your red folder, it's not going to have the same things in it. And it's not really a folder, it's really more like a sleeve, but we're calling it a folder. Now in the orange folder, you will find math, lots and lots of math. We're going to do something called Math Talks, where we talk about math and we contribute, all of us, saying some good ideas and telling why we're thinking things so that other people can learn from them. And then sometimes we're going to do direct inquiry-based math, because we have to be able to do math in our head flexibly in order to succeed in all of life. Now this folder, it's pink, has paper, plain paper and lined paper. We will need plain and lined paper, so there's a lot of it. Don't just randomly draw and write on it. If you want extra paper, you can make a request. But this is for schoolwork. So we will be asking you to pull out a blank paper so we can make what's called a thinking map, putting our good ideas in a structure that has a specific function on a page. We might also be practicing writing our high frequency words or a sentence, or doing something that requires us to make shapes, or doing something that requires us to do numbers and then represent how we see them. So that paper is super important. Now, as soon as we finish this block and we're all finished with our synchronous work, you're going to be moving off the screen. Now, 12 o'clock is the ding, 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 school is technically done. But we're going to continue for 15 minutes together doing some really cool things. We've invited the librarian, and she has conceded to come and share a couple stories a week. We invited Mr. Larson, super coach. So Mrs. Kristen is our super librarian. And super coach, Mr. Larson, is going to come in once a week and lead us in real PE as the PE teacher. He also has a special classroom, and so does Mrs. Kristen. And you can join those asynchronously on your own. But it's nice to know the people behind the story and the classroom, right? The teachers in the classrooms. So we're going to do that, but you are welcome to leave at this time. You can have lunch from 12 to 1, or you can take it with us from 12:15 to 1. We're also going to be doing what's called one-on-ones. This is just you and me, baby. You and your teacher having a little bit of a talk, and you're going to show us the work on the screen that you've been doing. And if you need something special, you can ask for it then. It's about 5 minutes, so it's not a ton of time. And during that time and after lunch, you are going to be finishing up your mandated minutes, the important learning time that you have, finishing asynchronous work, and then we're going to have office hours. Office hours are if you really need us to come and help you with something or explain something, we absolutely are happy to do that. Sometimes you're going to need a little bit of extra help, and we're going to see that, so we're going to invite you in to just spend a little bit of time with us and maybe a couple of other classmates so we can work on things that we would have worked on in the classroom together. And then at the end, we're going to be meeting as teachers so we can get better at what we're doing and do a whole lot of planning and load a lot of important information on our Google Classroom. And we're also going to have training from the district and from our principal, Dr. Rios, and our vice principal, Mrs. Leota. We're going to learn a lot of things from them so we can become better teachers. And at that time, you can do what's called extended learning, enrichment and extended learning. And that's where you can go on ST Math, you can go into Epic Books, you can go onto other platforms that you might have access to that are learning and educationally based. Now, these are the minutes that we would be teaching you if you came to our classroom. So we built our schedule around an actual brick and mortar building classroom. But these are not your required minutes. You have 240 that you have to log a day. We are going to do 3 of those 4 hours together. One half of those hours, that last hour, half of it, we're going to record some things for you to work on with us. And then the rest of it, you can finish things that we've started in class, or you can go to other things that are important to you off the screen as well. We don't want you to spend all your time on the screen. Alrighty, well, that was so awesome to spend all of that time with you. I'm now super looking forward to meeting you in our virtual classroom and hopefully getting back to our real classroom with walls and tables and chairs and me and shrink and books and toys and I think plexiglass and masks and magic soap. So, it was great sharing this time with you, Super Smarties. I look forward to seeing all the things you're going to learn and how well you're going to use all the tools that we've provided you with. Until later, alligator. This is Super Teacher signing out.